City Council was very interesting to research. What I found there was Betty Eisman and Dr. Bet Schultz they actually teamed up and campaigned together. And they ran and became the first women to serve on Lebanon City Council. Since then, we've had, of course, Sandy Molesky. I heard her name mentioned here earlier today. And a woman of color who is just a fantastic lady, does a wonderful job with the young people. I think it's St. John's AME Church or something like that. Her name is Rose Cunningham, and she also served on City Council for a while. But Bets and Betty were quite a team, and they were both strong-willed women. Guess what? Betty took it to the next level and became the first woman who was elected to the mayor of the city of Lebanon, Betty Eisman. Now that doesn't mean, and I'm going to go into this in more detail because this is another one of those great stories. Sue Leffler actually ran for mayor before Betty Eisman became, and she lost by about 1,000 votes, but boy did she put up a fight. And we'll go into her in more detail because I wanted to mention that Jackie Parker has served as our mayor in the city, as well as Trish Ward, who was appointed, and of course now Sherry Capello, who was elected. Now down in that lower left corner, because I have so much writing on the next slide, is actually Sue Leffler. I found her story quite interesting. It's what a lady of character. She ran for mayor. She was a reporter at the Lebanon Daily News. And she had to resign her job at the Daily News in order to run for mayor because the Daily News had a policy, you cannot be a candidate for office and be a reporter. Well, before I get too far into that part of the story, let me tell you that as a reporter, she was the first woman police officer for Lebanon County. She did not get paid, but she was sworn in, she had a badge, she rode with the guys in the car, and she would then write her encounters up under a pseudonym. And I have the pseudonym in there, and I can't remember it right now. It's so small I can't read it. But she didn't use her real name. Now, ironically, this woman could not drive, but she got around, and she was really something. So then she gave up her job at the Lebanon Daily News. She ran for office and came so close to winning mayor. But when she lost that, she didn't let it stop her because she went on to be like vice president of the state Republican committee. And she campaigned for presidents in all 67 counties. There's 2 presidents. And again, she was also, dear to her heart, was making sure children stayed in school. So after she was done with all the political things, she settled into a second career of sorts, is how I understand it. And she became a truant officer. And she would go after the kids and make sure they got to school. Now, let's move to county treasurer. Lois Baumberger was first appointed to serve as treasurer when her boss died in office. And then she ran 2 more terms and was elected. Since then, we've had Diane Rhodes and Sally Newen serve as our treasurer. County commissioner, the first to break through, was Rosemarie Swonger. She's now a state representative. That was in 1984, and she served till 2003. When I was elected in 1996, that made the first time that 2 women served together on the Board of Commissioners. We were opposite parties, but there was some civility. It was really nice because some of the boards get quite contentious. Enough said, right? For jury commissioner, it was Diane Schultz in 1987, followed by Henrietta Steiner and Donna Lutz. And I know there is another young lady who just appointed and are elected, and I don't know her name, and I'll have to get that on there and keep it current. For thonotary, the first was Anita Hallman in 1988, followed by one of her deputies, Lisa Arnold. I don't think we have a city controller anymore. That was one of those offices that was abolished, but Joyce Yinks served in that. Her husband had, I think it was a contracting business, and so she had a lot of business expertise and was able to take that to that office. We had a female district attorney, Deidre Eshelman, elected in 1999, and Register of Wills, Don Razanovich, in 2002. She still serves in that capacity. Now, I mentioned the PA House of Representatives. There, our first was Mari Gingrich back in 2003. She serves in the 101st. And Mari had a business called Mature Mart, and it was some kind of a consulting business for senior citizens and things like that. And she also served as the borough council president, I think it was, in Palmyra. So she had a little bit of government experience, and she had some good background in seniors. And Rose Marie then became elected into the 102nd district. Now this woman was not elected, but she's a first, and I just think Jessica Wright is so phenomenal. She was the first woman aviator pilot in the PA National Guard, and now she serves as a brigadier general back at Fort Indiantown Gap, and she's in charge of both the Army and the Air National Guard. She was appointed by Governor Rendell, and I think she's a phenomenal woman. If you've ever got the chance to talk to her, she really cares about the people who are serving. I heard stories where if she got word, and she was at a function, and she got word that somebody lost their life, she would literally cry. She wasn't afraid or ashamed. And I just thought, she's a woman commanding all these men, some women, but a lot of men, and she still hasn't lost her compassion and her understanding of what we're really here for, and that's to serve each other. The other person I like to mention is Lieutenant Governor Catherine Baker Mall. I have a real big fondness for Catherine. She was always very supportive in coming to Lebanon County to many of our functions. And of course, eventually, that was in 1989 when she was elected to serve as state treasurer. She went to the Wharton Business School. She had a lot of good credentials. And eventually became our lieutenant governor in 2003 and became a resident of Lebanon County, living back at Fort Indiantown Gap in the lieutenant governor's mansion. And it was nice to visit her there from time to time. And when I ran for commissioner, she actually wrote the most outstanding endorsement letter for me. And I still have that to this day because I thought it was very special. I was able to go to the Rotunda, and when she had her funeral, her viewing there in the Rotunda, and I was the first one from the public because I was at a meeting and I couldn't get in during all the legislators being there, which was fine. So I was the first one in line from the public to get there. It meant a great deal to me because she was a wonderful lady. But that doesn't mean that we've broken through all these glass ceilings. We still have some to attain as women. We haven't had a woman controller, a coroner, a sheriff, a judge on the Court of Common Pleas. That's still to be attained. Senator in the 48th Senatorial District, U.S. Congressman, U.S. Senator, Governor, Vice President, and President. So ladies, we still have some work to do. I don't want to ignore the municipal officials because that's a very important part of what happens in Lebanon County. In 1973, in the Palmyra Borough, Ruth Baldwin was elected. And in Myerstown Borough's district, Gloria Evelyn was elected in 1979. Do you know she is still serving? Figure it out, that's 31 years of service as a borough council president. Well, I don't know that she was president the whole time, but on borough council. In 1980 in West Lebanon, there was Virginia Reed, followed by Lou Ann Horn and Rose Marie Furman. And in 2004, Bethel Township, that very rural, very male-dominated, if you think about it, there's no city life going on there, very conservative area. Beverly Martell was elected to in northern Lebanon, in Bethel. And then in northern Lebanon, Dawn Hawkins, and in Anvil, Joanne Zimmerman. So we've been blessed with women who are movers and shakers and somehow balancing their personal lives with full-time jobs, serving on boards for the betterment of business and our educational climate. Women's use benefit boards not because they're better, but because they are different from a man's perspective.